The BBC introducing
Artist of the Week.
Now, it's someone who I've been championing for a number of years. Used to be in a duo with his sister called Moochu. Now, back then, they were like the first ever band to send their music into BBC Introducing. And we had a Christmas party in London. And what we did, we invited like the first band that ever uploaded to us along. We brought along a success story. And we also brought along the last band that, like, just moments that very day uploaded. Well, that band were the Temper Trap. The other band were Florence and the Machine. And the other were Moochu. And I think they thought at this particular stage that this is how it works for everyone. No, they really were that good. They ended up being champions over on Radio 1, being their record of the week. Got invited to Glastonbury, which they weren't able to do, so instead they played Nostock on the garden stage in Bromyard. Well, Sign of Angelo have kind of emerged from the ashes of Moochu, but it's taken 10 years to get there. Now, we're about to hear from George on why it's taken 9 years of what he calls sonic experiments, trial and testing lyrics to perfect the sound for Sign of Angelo.
Hi Andrew, it's George here, aka Sign of Angelo, and yes, I was raised in the mighty Hereford, growing up in the woods in Tillington, and I currently live with my wonderful wife and two very entertaining children down in Lower Bullingham. I find it quite difficult to describe my music. People have said that Sign of Angelo has got its own unique sound, but then each song is very different. I do jump around genres quite a bit. It's intimate and epic all at the same time. Maybe that's one way of describing it. Or that just sounds very pretentious, I don't know. It's electronic. Also, next album could change. I might be doing Honky Tonk next time round. In terms of other artists that have influenced my sound, Radiohead and Coldplay, London Grammar, Bon Iver, Kings of Leon as well, Sigur Rós, Mumford & Sons as well. But honestly, I love film score and soundtrack as well, so even Hans Zimmer and John Williams. It's in our subconscious, all these things are kind of stored up indirectly, we don't even realise it. I know I found myself writing a song and then afterwards, in hindsight, thought, actually, that sounds just like some melody that I enjoyed 5 years ago or in a film that I've watched recently.
Don't you know you're cosmic tonight? I won't let you.
For instance, there's a song on the album and it took quite a while to get down, but once I'd recorded it, finished it, I played it to somebody, and then there's a particular part in the verse and they said, that sounds just like that song from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was like, it does. Pure Imagination, which is an amazing song, and I always loved it. But yeah, that song is an absolute tune, isn't it? How's it go? Come with me and we'll be in a world of pure imagination. Absolute banger.
Something held him there for hours.
If Bob Marley was alive, if I could take a time machine back and just write a song with Bob Marley, that would have been amazing, because he's one of my artists. I didn't mention it before, but one of my artists, as my fail-safe, he never fails. Writing a song with him would be amazing. But on the other end of the spectrum, this sounds completely different. To work with Hans Zimmer, you know, the guy who writes film scores like Batman, Interstellar, all those amazingly epic film scores, that would be pretty cool. Did he compose Pirates of the Caribbean? Wouldn't that be amazing to write an album with Hans Zimmer? I'm not asking for much, just Hans Zimmer and an entire orchestra and a 500-piece choir. When it comes to lyrics, I've actually really grown a passion for words and for poetry. Often it's the case that a really awesome piece of music has some kind of average lyrics, and I did the same thing. Get all excited about music, want to finish it, and so just kind of like get some words on it. Whereas actually you're wasting a really good vessel to kind of share something with somebody that could really inspire them or give them hope or give them joy. And so that's probably the reason why this album has taken so long to finish, is that I've got so many notepads with like scribbled out sentences and documents that I've deleted and rewritten. I also think Milky, my sister, who was part of Moochu, the band previous to Sign of Angelo, she did all the lyric writing actually. I didn't do any lyric writing for Moochu, really. I just threw a few hesitant words in now and again. But she is such a poet, such a creative writer. I think obviously going through the whole songwriting process with her and singing these words that I actually didn't know what they meant, to be honest, half the time, because they were so beautifully abstract. But even going through that has inspired the way I kind of write poetry. And also my whole family. My whole family are very creative, and there's always a song or a painting or a clothing being made or stitched. And so it definitely has been a blessed thing to have been brought up in that environment and be encouraged in those creative things. So thank you, parents.
Please tell me that you care. In my first moments breathing, what will be waiting there?
But even on this Sign of Angelo album, my wife, Naomi, she sings on one of the tracks that she co-wrote with me. My son has his own song. He's just basically spontaneously singing. I recorded in the back of a car and I pulled into the driveway one night coming home, and he was just singing in the back, and it was just so cute and wacky. So he's got his own track 7. You should check that out. It's probably the best one on the album. But also my twin sister Bethan, aka Bethy, she sings on one of the songs with me as well, called Future Finds Us, and she's got an amazing voice. Basically, my entire family around me, I feel like have better singing voices than me, including my 3-year-old son. Quite an easygoing person who can have a laugh, but my music actually is quite intense, I guess, because of that reason of like wanting to sing about something that's going to mean something to somebody. So I do sing about suicide and death, thinking generationally about the future generations and what we're leaving behind for our kids. I mean, that's one of the songs. But also, out of all these difficult things, I'm singing about hope and value and love, and just getting people to think about their own lives in a bigger way.
What will be waiting there? Please tell me that you do, because I've seen...
More and more though, songwriting has become this compulsion and like this need to express something after an event in my life, whether it's like really good or tragic, whether that's, you know, falling in love, wonderful. When I had kids, it was like the most miraculous thing in the world. And actually just even the mountains and valleys of parenting can be inspiring. I've got this song on the album called Son. It's singing to my son about remembering to be kind. And it sounds like it could be a nursery rhyme, but it's a bit more interesting, hopefully, than that. But even in that parenting thing, in that song, you're kind of learning how to be a good human again. Because all these things you teach kids, but then you kind of forget as adults even just to be kind. Don't give up, son. Kindness always wins, son. The bodies never even have fun. They're just lonely, broken, good guys with a gun. So yeah, every stage of life gives you a new opportunity to write a lyric.
What's mine is yours. Yours is the soul I will always adore.
I've performed on stage before, obviously, but I've never performed Sign of Angelo on stage. If there are any drummers, guitarists, session musicians that could help me out, I'd be very grateful. Doing live stuff just kind of online is just me and the keyboard and a few loops and stuff. So hopefully, you know, I could fill an arena.
Romance is only dead when unrevived.
Having to kind of communicate with friends who are musicians to play parts and then send files back, and then not being able to gig or anything like that to promote it, but just putting it out online. Yeah, it's been very interesting because it's all happened on screens and in my house.
Sign of Angelo there from Hereford.